This August the 1st picks edition of the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by our Patreon. Score exclusive perks, content and contests, including our NFL win totals contest with a $1,000 prize. Join today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. Welcome everybody to the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Monday, July the 31st, and we have a full card of MLB action to handicap for Tuesday, August the 1st. Joining me to take a look at the games is Mr. Lonte Smith. Hello, Lonte. How are you?
Mal, what's up, man? I'm doing pretty good. Hoping to get back on track, man. Not been the best MLB ending to a month for me. So hopefully we can do that here tonight or going into tomorrow.
Well, that makes me feel a little bit better because I had a horrible week, a really horrible week. I'd done really well. I'd got my lock and dog tracker was nearly up to 4 figures in profit. I think like early in May, like first week in May, I was like £700 down. I do like a £100 stake on my lock and my dog. I was 700 quid down. And then I made a fight back.
What is that equivalent to in US?
Maybe 850, 900 down.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry. No, the other way. So maybe 550 to 600 down.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, and then it's about 80 cents on the pound, I think. So then I pulled it all the way back, got to zero. I was delighted. And then I was up to 907 in the other direction. I was winning 907, I think. But last week stunk. And my tally picks were way down. I don't know what it was really. Last night's show that me and Dylan did for the Monday games was a right mess because the card was a mess. There was hardly any games on the board. There was pictures. Tonight is a little bit better. We've got 10 of the 15 games on the board. So we've got the usual issues, but we've also got the trade deadline is affecting stuff because we got pitchers and rotations who suddenly find themselves with a piece missing. Right. Or with an extra piece, and people are getting moved forward days, getting moved back days. The big one tonight, I saw only a couple of hours ago, is Aaron Savale to the Rays from Cleveland. An aggressive move from Tampa, a good move as well, because they have just they haven't dropped off, but they've middled out a little bit after that hot start. They're sending Kyle Manzardo, who is a 23-year-old first baseman, the number 37 prospect in the game. But yeah, I like this move a lot. Savale has been Cleveland's best pitcher, really. Shane Bieber was wobbling a little bit before he got injured, and Savale's been great. So this is a nice move from the Rays, a little bit of a statement, Lonte.
Yeah, I didn't even see that. Maybe I was working on some other stuff, but I didn't.
It was pretty recently, it was quite recently, a couple of hours.
Okay, yeah. I think that's a pretty good move, especially with how Glasnow's been pitching. He's been coming back into that form that before he had the Tommy John. So I think they might need to add a bat in between the middle of that lineup, maybe. So I'm be interested to see what they do between now and tomorrow. But yeah, Savale, he's been lights out. And my thing was, I think if Bieber wouldn't have gotten hurt, I think they would have went for Bieber instead. That's an interesting move. So I like it for Tampa. Like I said, they've been reeling a little bit, but that's a good move for them.
Well, there was a lot of trade talk around Bieber, and then the minute Bieber got injured, it just shifted immediately. Right. And I tell you what, talking about how hard baseball betting is, right? How often when we do these shows, in a pick show, that's not a future show ever, do we stop and give out a divisional bet? I can't remember ever doing it myself. Right. This afternoon, on my notes right here, I've written down, I'm going to give out tonight Cleveland to win the AL Central at plus 120. I looked at how Minnesota were going. I looked at the rosters. I looked at how Cleveland were going. I thought Cleveland were a great price. I thought I'm going to go out on a limb, do something I've never done before, and I'm going to tip Cleveland at plus 120. An hour later, the best pitcher's gone. It's fucking incredible.
Put an X on that.
Absolutely, yes. I don't know if it's good for my Rays bets. I got a lot of Rays pre-season futures, but just remarkable that the one time I considered doing it. is the one time that they've traded the best player. And there's going to be loads of fun moves, I think, tomorrow. The deadline is tomorrow. So by the time we record the show, I'm not on the show tomorrow, but I'll certainly be I'll be keeping a close eye on it. So yeah, we're possibly expecting Scott at some point in the show, but we've got 10 of these 15 games on the board. We'll get through them and hopefully pick some winners, start the month strong. The Sports Gambling Podcast Patreon is the place to get to, especially before NFL starts as well. There's loads of stuff on there. The merch, there's loads of contests. The NFL, it's the win totals contest, which has got $1,000 first place prize. I've got my eye on that. The SGP Stories podcast, the uncensored DGen show, which is really good fun. The Discord channel. It's just a really good way of supporting our network. So head to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. So, in Scott's absence, I might not go in the order we normally go in tonight. Not that it hugely matters. I'll start with, however, 6:40 Eastern first pitch between the Philadelphia Phillies and the Miami Marlins. Left-handed pitcher, Ranger Suarez for Philadelphia. Miami officially TBD, but Sandy Alcantara is listed in most other places. And we've got lines as well, so I think the books are happy with that. Plus 102 on the Phillies, minus 122 on the Marlins, with a total of 8. Ranger Suarez is 2-5 on the year, has a 4.22 ERA. And he's one of the few pitchers who fit into a definite pattern. You can kind of look at Suarez's numbers, they're all the same. All these starts are identical. 5 or 6 innings pitched, 10 walks and or hits, 3 or 4 earned runs. The total of the games he's played in his last 5, 10, 11, 10, 8, 9. So they all come into that little middle glob. It's pretty tricky. And he's won 2 and lost 3 of them. So you pretty much know what you're going to get. It's whether or not Miami are going to come out better than what Suarez will give you, or worse. Alcantara is improved, constantly improving. 3-1 in his last 5. Miami are better at home. Miami needed a win, which they picked up last night. They got a little comeback win, and they are a much better home team. Philly just scuffling along at the moment, not really doing an awful lot. I think Miami are a good price here. It's close. It was hard to pick. It's close on the books, which reflects that. But Miami at minus 122 will be my lead-off pick, Lonte.
Yeah, I'm gonna ride with you with Miami. I think both teams have won 3 of the last 5. But like you mentioned, Miami's much better at home, 32-21. They also took 2 of 3 in a series earlier in the month. They outscored the Phillies 17-10 in that series. If you want to go back to earlier in the season, they've won 4 of the last 5. Miami, that is. 3 of those wins have been by 2+ runs. So they've got the familiarity with having success against them. Sandy's pitching well. I've been on him as he's been on this upswing. So it's good to be paying off with that. It's good to see him back pitching well. All 3 of those games also went over. 4 if you depending on what number you got in one of those games. But I mean, I know Miami's inconsistent offensively, but they've scored 6+ in 3 of the last 5. Philly scored 4+ in 4 of the last 5. So I kind of like the over here as well. Miami's hitting 301 versus lefties. Philly's hitting 209 in their last 10. So that's kind of counterproductive, but I think both – if Sandy's going to explode, then, I mean, Phillies are going to score a run. So I feel like you can hit both of those at the same time. I like the Miami to win the game and also for the game to go over.
Okay, like that, Lonte. I forgot to say hello to everyone in the chat. Trev was first in, TVDVJ. He's back in the winner's circle. Well done, Trev. Ryan's here. A couple of nights running, Ryan. Back-to-back appearances. Captain Sino. I think I'll just jumped above the captain in the DGens Fantasy League. Noah was top of the league, but it didn't stop me giving him a little bit of stick this week. I beat Noah 7-3 last night, so I am back. Aaron Judge is activated. Mike Trout's coming back. My fantasy team will hunt you down, people. I will hunt you down. We are going to a 7:05 Eastern first pitch. I am just going to go in order. Otherwise, I'm going to just confuse myself to death.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. I don't know what I was thinking. I was absolutely not capable of what I suggested that I was capable of. The Detroit Tigers at the Pittsburgh Pirates. We have Matt Manning for Detroit And we have Johan Oviedo for the Pirates. This one's priced up. It's another close one, plus 110 for Detroit. Oviedo and the Pirates are minus 125. And the total is at 8.5. Lonte, I'll let you take this one away.
Yeah, so I lean to Detroit and the over. Detroit lost 2 of 3 to Miami, who we just were discussing. I felt like they blew 2 games, and obviously I was on both of the games that they blew. They were up late in those games, and I think they gave up maybe 2 in the 8th or in the 7th or something like that in both of those games. But they could have easily been, on a 2-game winning streak here. They lost both by 1 and 2 runs, so I don't put much stock into it. I thought they played well. They've scored 4+ runs in 4 of the last 5. Pittsburgh is 13 runs in their last 2 games, which is why I like the over. Pittsburgh's also over in 6 of the last 10. They typically play well or play to the over at home, 29, 20, and 3 to the over at home. Both teams are hitting the ball really, really well. Detroit left a lot of people stranded in that series against Miami. They're averaging almost 9 hits per game, both teams in their last 10. And Oviedo, I mean, he's gonna allow a lot of contact. Home run allowed in 6 of his last 7, 5+ earned runs allowed in 3 of his last 5. He threw a gem his last outing, but again, I think Detroit's bats can get to him here. So I like Detroit, and I'll lean to the over also.
Yeah, the 2 interesting pitchers, these 2 names, because when I see their names creep up in the card, I'm quite interested in them. Matt Manning is capable. He showed that a few times. Yeah, he had a couple of back-to-back starts against Toronto and KC that were really good, and then got rocked last time out against the Angels. So it's just hard to rely upon him. Oviedo's the same. I actually quite like the look of in fantasy Oviedo's 2-step week. He's got 2 starts this week, obviously starting on the Monday, and I picked him up in a couple of my little leagues just to get the 2 starts out of him. There's a home start here against the Tigers, which I quite like. 2 of his last 3 starts were really, really good. So I trust Oviedo a little bit more than the Tigers. I trust Pittsburgh a little bit more than the Tigers. And the price of minus 125 is serviceable. So I think Pittsburgh will get this done. And I'll take Pittsburgh at home to beat Detroit. Next up is a 7:05 Eastern first pitch between the Tampa Bay Rays and the New York Yankees. Zach Eflin draws the start for Tampa Bay, and it is left-handed pitcher Carlos Rodon for the Yankees. Minus 108 each of 2. It is a match on the books with a total of 8 or 8.5 if you fancy it. Lonte, big series this one. The Yankees kind of embarrassed at home last night. Will Tampa pour some more misery on them?
Yeah, I think so, man. I really think so. I mean, both teams have been inconsistent. Tampa Bay's lost 6 of the last 10, and the Yankees are just about 500 in their last 10. The Yankees are much better at home in Yankee Stadium, 32-24. And Rodon, he's pitched well in Yankee Stadium. In 10 innings, he's only allowed 3 earned runs combined on 8 hits. So this will be the toughest opponent that he's faced up until then. Although Tampa Bay's been inconsistent, I still think that their offense can wake up at any given time. And what more of a perfect time to wake up than against the Yankees? So I think they're going to do as bad as it pains me to say, Mal. Man, I think the Tampa offense is going to wake up here. Eflin, I mean, he hasn't been as good. 5 earned runs allowed in 2 of his last 3 starts, but in the middle of those 3 starts, he did throw a scoreless, I think 7 innings. So there's that. He's been up and down in July. Tampa, the thing that scares me off of Tampa a little bit, they are hitting 208 versus lefties in their last 10. And I'm not sure what they're going to do with Judge. I'm not sure if he's going to be in the lineup or out of the lineup. That's a big deal. I know he's I think I've read somewhere where he's going to be out of the lineup tonight. Maybe they're saving him for tomorrow. I'm not sure. But all in all, man, I think I'm going to have to ride with Tampa here as bad as it hurts me to say that, man.
Captain Encino was pointing out that in his last start, Rodon was blowing kisses to the Yankees fans, I think, when he got pulled. Yeah, Aaron Judge came back the other night with a bang, and then he didn't start last night. So obviously they're nursing him or platooning him. I don't know why they can't de-age him.
Right. So is he playing tonight? I've read mixed reviews.
I don't know. He was left out last night. That's as much as I've seen. But
right. Okay.
I mean, even with a bad toe, you can stand and swing it back, can't you? Maybe.
As big as he is, I'm sure he can.
am not a medical professional, but that's my summation. Just get on with it, Aaron. So Zach Eflin is really, really hard to assess. Rodon had a better home start against the Mets last time out. This is really tricky. You made a great point. The Tampa Bay bats are waking up. Brandon Lau is heating up, particularly. Judge is a bit of a fly in the ointment, because if you want to take the over in this game, which I do, like, Judge is quite a big part of it. Normally, you wouldn't factor in one bat quite as much, but Aaron Judge makes such a difference. But yeah, I'm happy to take the over. I'll take the over 8. Like I say, I've seen a couple of lines, 8 and 8.5. But I think Eflin be good for a few runs, in Tampa certainly can get the road done. So yeah, 8's a reasonable number. We'll take the over in that one. All right, I've just remembered this. Nothing to do with anything we're talking about. Did you know that Miles Mikolas ate a live lizard in the bullpen?
When was this?
No, it wasn't recently. It was in like 2011 or something.
Oh, no.
They were talking about when he hit Ian Happ up the arse last week and got thrown out. Yeah, that's shenanigans. And people were saying that Miles Mikolas is a bit of a dickhead. Now, I quite like the look of him just because he's got a funny mustache. But other than that, I don't know anything about him. So they were kind of listing all the things he did. And one of them was in the Arizona Fall League. His teammate videoed him just picking up a live lizard and eating his whole. Like, wow. And they put it on YouTube. And yeah, sorry.
Oh, so you saw it already? You saw it?
I've seen it. Yeah. Oh, mate, have a look. And he's done some other silly things, but yeah, I don't know what made me think of that just now. Right, we can get back to what we were doing. So if anyone hasn't seen that, go and watch Miles Mikolas eating a lizard. What we on about? 7:05 Eastern first pitch is the Milwaukee Brewers and the Washington Nationals. Freddie Peralta goes for the Brewers, and Josiah Gray is the starter for the Washington Nationals. Plus 150. No, minus 150 on the Brewers. Plus 130 on Washington. Total of 8.5 or 9 if you want it. Peralta, 6 and 8 on the year, 446 at home. TVDBJ always comes in the chat at this point and tells us to fade Peralta on the road. Now, he did get lit up by Atlanta last time, which is fair enough. That could happen to quite a lot of pitchers. Right. But his poor road form just seemed to have levelled out a little bit, Trev. His last two wins were both 3-0 as well. Josiah Gray is 7 and 8 on the year with a 3.27 ERA. He's added 2 more quality starts to his body of work for the season, this last 2. Now, the Brewers have lost 3 in a row. Yelich is going well for them. But the Nats are 6 and 4 in the last 10. And on their last homestand, they scored a minimum 5 runs in every game, which I think is probably good enough here because we know the Brewers don't score many. And I do like Josiah Gray. So at home, where the Washington Nationals can hit against Peralta and the Brewers team who aren't that reliable, I think plus 130 is a more than fair price on Washington Lonte, and I'll be taking them as a dub.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you with how Gray's been going. He's been pretty good in July. You mentioned that. 2 shutouts and only allowed over 3 earned runs once in his 5 July start. So I think that's pretty good. The thing is, I don't know if I can trust him offensively. And, Peralta, he is what he is, but he's been pretty good as of late. 2 shutouts in his last 3 starts. And you mentioned that Atlanta, he got lit up by them. I mean, their whole team did. They got outscored 29-18 in that series. They've lost 3 of 5. So I'm going to take an alternate route and go with the Washington team total under. They have 2 earned runs or less in 3 of the last 4 games. I also lean to the full game under if we can get both pitchers to at least go into, 6 2/3 or something like that. I think the bullpens can hold on and we can get a low scoring game, 3-4, 2-3 type of game. I don't know which way it'll go, but in rooting interest for you, I'll root for the dog. So I like the team total under for Washington. And if I had to bet something, I would probably bet on Washington as the home dog.
7:07 Eastern first pitch. The Baltimore Orioles at the Toronto Blue Jays. Kyle Bradish for Baltimore. And Hyun-Jin Ryu is back, left-handed pitcher for the Blue Jays, who are minus 125. The Orioles plus 110, total of 8.5. Kyle Bradish, talked him up last week. It's the first time I'd handicapped him for ages, and I mentioned how he'd completely gone under my radar. He hadn't gone under my radar. How good he'd been had gone under my radar. I knew he'd been okay. He was absolutely outstanding. Said a load of lovely things about him. And then he got spanked, gave up 5 earned runs. Hyunjin Ryu, it's his debut. I don't know what to expect from him. However, this is not good opposition to be making your debut against. Baltimore, they're just taking on all comers at the moment. Again, embarrassed the Yankees last night. I was recorded the Premier League show after me and Dylan did the baseball. So it was about midnight by the time I got off. Turned everything off, made a cup of tea, sat down. I thought, I'll watch this game. By the time I got my arse in the chair, it was 6-0. Yeah. And I was, well, that's the end of that. So I drank my tea and went to bed. So that was it. And Baltimore can absolutely do that to you. So tricky spot for you tomorrow. So we're definitely getting the better team, I think. Baltimore better than Toronto. Or more reliable team, maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
And we're getting a more reliable, if not better, pitcher at plus 110. And Baltimore have been so good to me over the last 2 weeks. I haven't got a reason here not to take them. So Baltimore again at plus 110, please.
Yeah, so I'll take them also. Just a lean, though, I probably won't play it. I'll play the over. I'm kind of indifferent on how, Ryu's coming in against a really hot Baltimore team, offensively especially. But Toronto's been hot offensively also. But again, like we both mentioned, they're not really reliable to be consistent. They've scored 6+ in 3 of the last 5. So I like how they've looked offensively. But again, once you start to buy into Toronto, they let you down. They probably could get no hit by Brad this year. You never know. Bradish has been solid. You mentioned it. Outside of his last start versus Philly, he's only allowed 1 earned run in 7 innings. That's in 7 innings pitched. That's back in their June 14th meeting. So, I mean, Baltimore's won 4 of the last 5, outscored them 30-19. Toronto is in better form, but I just don't know if I can trust them right now. Baltimore's also hitting 250 versus lefties. Toronto's hitting 259 versus righties. So both teams are hitting the ball pretty well, and that's where I can see an overcoming. Baltimore's also 263 versus lefties on the road with 7.4 runs per 9. So that's huge. That's another reason why. That's another reason why I like the over here. So I'll lean to your side with Baltimore. I think we do have the better pitcher. I mean, we just can't know what to expect from Ryu. I don't know what if he's going to come out and be rusty or what, but you got to expect a little bit of rust, especially against a good offensive team. So I'll lean to the O's, but I like the over a lot.
I love that, Lonte. I love those stats back in that. 7:20 Eastern first pitch. The LA Angels at the Atlanta Braves. Left-handed pitcher, Patrick Sandoval for the Angels. And for Atlanta, it will be Spencer Strider. We have lines plus 220 on the Angels. They were plus 200 for tonight's game as well. We took them as dogs last night. Minus 250 for Atlanta with Spencer Strider and a total of 9. Lonte, this is you.
Yeah, man. So this is crazy. I looked this up and I thought I had to do a double take. So Atlanta's hitting 289 versus lefties, 6 runs per 9 in that span. At home, they're hitting 298. Like that's incredible. 298 and 289. Like that's incredible. Again, the Angels are hitting 251 versus righties, which puts me right into the fact that I like the over. I think that maybe, Atlanta might can hit 7-8 runs by themselves, the way they've been hitting the ball. 29 runs in 3 in a 3-game set versus Milwaukee, 2 games with 10+. I mean, the team total is pretty much an auto play for me when they're at home. They've covered 6 of the last 10 run lines. They've scored 4+ runs in 12 of the last 15 home games. Sandoval, he's been pretty good, 4 earned runs combined in his last 3 starts, but again, he's facing a Braves team that no matter who's on the mound or how good you've been on the mound, it's a different beast when you're facing them. And he hasn't faced a lot of good offenses in his last 4 road starts. So kind of the numbers might be kind of, I guess, inflated. So, yeah, man, I like the Atlanta team total here. I wouldn't be scared to lay the 1.5, maybe lay 2.5 on the alt line.
Yeah, there's all sorts of stats flying around about Atlanta at the moment. They're first in run differential, something like 120 something to 38. They've put up 5 or 6 in the first inning several times this year. And Spencer Strider putting up historical strikeout numbers as well. Trevor in the comments is putting up over 9.5 per game, but he's his strikeout was comparable to some of the biggest names through history. I've seen some graphics shown out. And the Angels just make me laugh the whole time. They keep going. They've got to bought some more players. They've taken on CJ Cron and Randall Grichuk from Colorado. So Taylor Ward went down, got that ball right in the face the other day. That's the end of him for the season. Might be okay for playoff baseball. So they've got CJ Cron, who's battle-hardened. He's ready. He shouldn't miss a step, really. And Randall Grichuk can do bits and bobs. Atlanta have picked up Nicky Lopez, which is a low key. Could be a sneaky good signing. If it was anyone else, you'd think Nicky Lopez, but Nicky Lopez to Atlanta. Right. Because it's Atlanta, you think, what do they know that we don't? Because he's all right, Nicky Lopez.
Yeah, they'll plug him in here with 20 home runs by the end of the season.
Yeah. He's NLCS or MVP, Nicky Lopez. What's that bet? We'll get that on there. But Sandoval's had 3 good starts in a row. Strider has given up 9 earned runs in his last 2 home starts. Where I'm going with this is, I'm taking the Angels on the first 5. Atlanta might just win the game because they just relentlessly go. I don't know. I did this last time. You all laughed at me. And sure enough, you were all right and I was wrong. But let's go back to the well again. I took the Angels for the Monday night game at plus 200, 205 maybe. Plus 220. I'm going to take them first 5 tomorrow. And one of these 2 will hit. So I'm going to be a unit in profit by the time this game finishes on Tuesday night. That's my theory.
Yeah.
7:45.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was just say to expand on Strider, 10 plus Ks in 5 of his last 6, 9 plus in 7 straight. He's given up the long ball a lot, though. 5 home runs in his last 3 starts, and a home run allowed in 4 of his last 6. So that's another reason why I like the over. Although he's been dominant, he is prone to giving up the long ball.
Captain Insano, maybe I haven't eaten enough lizards. Did you ever think of that? Exactly. 7:45 Eastern first pitch is the Minnesota Twins at the St. Louis Cardinals. Pablo Lopez for the Twins and Jack Flaherty for the Cardinals. Officially TBD, but we think it's Flaherty going. Pablo Lopez and the Twins are minus 112. Flaherty and the Cards are minus 108 with a total of 8.5. Pablo Lopez 5-6 on the year, 4.13 ERA. He had a bad start at Oakland, July the 15th, but everything around that's been fine. Happy to ignore that Oakland start. Has given up multi-homers in 2 of his last 3, so some of these cards can go deep. They might interest you, but I think generally he'll be fine here. The Twins are on a 5-game losing streak, actually, as it happens. Which is one of the reasons I'd put up Cleveland for that divisional bit. Flaherty, okay, 3 or 4 in his last 3, but he did pitch 2 scoreless before that, which had kind of brought him onto our betting radar a little bit. The Cards have turned bad again. Minnesota are the most average team in the league. They're 100% going to finish 500. Nothing is more certain than the Twins will finish 500. I couldn't pick a side on this one. One of these teams is going to win 4-3. Absolutely, definitely. I don't know which one it is, but that's definitely under 8.5, Lonte.
Yeah, I couldn't pick a side either, man. This is one of the tougher games on the card. I lean to St. Louis, but like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if either team won. Minnesota cost me a lot of money. Me and Munaf both a lot of money this weekend. They got swept by Kansas City, outscored 20-13. Lopez has been okay. He's allowed, he has allowed multiple home runs in 2 of the last 3 and a home run in 3 straight. But St. Louis, I mean, they don't hit the long ball that well. They do hit righties well, 260 at home, 5 runs per 9 in that span. Both teams averaging almost 9 hits. So maybe the ball will be in play and they'll leave runners stranded like they usually do. You mentioned Flaherty's inconsistencies in July. He started the month off with 2 shutouts, but he ended allowing 19 hits, 10 earned runs, 4 of those home runs in his last 3 starts. I mean, like you said, it's kind of a toss-up, coin flip. I'll take the home team and take Flaherty at home. I don't love it, though.
He doesn't love it. Scott's here. Hello, Scott. How are you?
Good. How's it going?
Good. Yeah. What's been going on? Where have you been? You've been worried sick here.
I don't know about worried sick, but I'm sure you've been worried. But yeah, my bad.
Right, quick trivia question for you, Scott. Everybody else in the room knows the answer. Which Major League pitcher ate a live lizard in the Arizona Fall League in 2011?
In the Arizona Fall League in 2011. That sounds like something that. Wait, he's active?
Yeah.
Oh, he's very active.
I was going to guess Bumgarner, but that's something he would do, but he's not in the league anymore.
It's a
That's
great
definitely
guess.
something Bumgarner
That is
would
a
do.
great guess. That is a
Yeah,
great guess.
guess has made me laugh.
I have no idea.
He's been in the news
I was going to
recently.
guess Greinke? That's something Greinke
No.
would do.
It's Miles Mikolas is the answer. I just heard about it today and it just made me laugh. And then I remembered about 20 minutes ago, so told everyone.
You might want to ask Greinke if he's ever eaten a lizard, because that's something Greinke might do too. So I don't know. But
might be a thing past the time in the bullpen. Right, we're about halfway through, Scott. We've done a couple of your games. You've got a couple of off the board stuff still coming, but I'm sure you can help us out with what we have got left. I'm going to tell you about Underdog Fantasy first, though, before we get into the second half of this card. The NFL season is approaching very quickly. Underdog Pick'em is a great way to get down on a ton of NFL player props and available in tons of markets too. Loads of opportunities to win in their daily MLB contests. And of course, make sure to enter Best Ball Mania 4, where the first place gets $3 million. Head over to underdogfantasy.com. Use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's underdogfantasy.com. Promo code SGPN. 8:05 Eastern first pitch is the Cincinnati Reds at the Chicago Cubs. Ben Lively goes for Cincinnati, and left-handed pitcher Justin Steele, still can't get his name right first time, goes for the Cubbies. Plus 142 on the Reds, minus 150 on the Cubs. Total is 8.5. Scott, we come straight to you.
yeah, so initially I wanted to back Steele, but that price does look a little bit steep against the Reds team that has kind of figured it out lately. I know they had a nice series win against the Dodgers over the weekend. But the question is, the Cubs had won 8 straight, then they ended up losing yesterday, or they lost over the weekend to snap that streak. Do I really want to lay that big of a price with the Cubs? I don't think I do. I think I'm going to lean to the Reds. I'm not the biggest Lively guy, but I will admit he has not been that bad this year. I mean, his ERA is below 4, so he has been pretty decent. But Steele, we know, is the better pitcher, but I do think when you're looking at the odds here, I don't think that Steele should be minus 155. I think the Reds are the better team, and I think that even though the Cubs have been playing good baseball lately, that line's a little bit too steep for me for a Reds team that we know what their ceiling can be. We know how good they can be. I'm going to lean to the Reds here at plus 130. Once again, they might be down early, so maybe if you want to take the Cubs' first 5, I'd consider it. But for the sake of the full game, I'm not laying 155 with the Cubs here, so it's Reds or pass for me.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. These are probably the only two names on either rotation that would have the odds this far apart. Maybe Stroman, possibly, if you've been in better form. But we were just having some Reds chat before we started the show. And we were talking about this rotation of, or possibly next season, Lodolo, Green. Who was the other name? I can't the other name that Trev threw out. But we
Is
mentioned
Green done for the year, or is he coming back?
No, next season, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Graham Ashcraft. And Andrew Abbott, sorry, is how we started. But Ben Lively in him, who's kind of anchored this rotation quite sneakily. You mentioned his good ERA. His last 2 road starts, the team have won 1-0 and 3-0. And that's pretty much good enough for me to make my mind up here because Steele's been great. So the bit of a pitching duel, the first 5 under, I would take. And a little note on Cincinnati. Jonathan India's got the IL. Be a bit of a miss, but if there's one spot where Cincinnati have cover, it's on the infield where they have dozens of prospects just all clamoring to get involved. So yeah, I love Cincinnati. Actually, I never considered that as one of my dogs, Scott. But you make a great case. But yeah, I'll take the first 5 under, Lonte.
Yeah, so it's a big series. Cubs only 3 back in the loss column out of first place here. The Reds did sweep them back in May, but two totally different teams right now. Cubs on fire, winning 8 of the last 10. This is a really big series. They got both of their aces going, and they got Stroman going tonight and still going tomorrow. He's 2 earned runs or less in 8 of his 11 home starts. He does have to cut down on some of the hard hits allowed, but overall, I think he's well equipped to, win this game at home. Now, do I want to lay the number like Scott was saying? I'm not 100% sure. So I'll lean to them, but I probably going to be on the over in some sort. Cubs hitting 311 versus righties in their last 10, scoring 6.5 runs per 9. The Reds are 228 versus lefties in their last 10, but hitting 257 on the road versus lefties. So that kind of balances that out. So I think we can see some runs here despite Steele being on the mound. He is prone to letting long ball, giving a long ball up here. So I like the over. I lean to Chicago at home.
Okay, we're getting into the half of the slate now where there's quite a lot of TBD pictures and no lines. It might just be as straightforward as time zone thing. All the East Coast teams have got their plans settled just a little bit earlier than when we're recording right now. The first of these, we don't have a confirmed picture for either side, which is the Chicago White Sox at the Texas Rangers. Both TBD. I did see John Gray for Texas, but I hadn't seen a White Sox pitcher listed all day. I see no odds at all. Lonte, do you have anything on this?
Yeah, I didn't see. I saw Gray earlier. But
yeah, he's gone now as well.
Yeah, outside of that, I'm not 100% sure. But in some way or form, I'm probably going to be on the Texas team total over at home, and maybe on the run line. I just don't like the way Chicago's playing right now, especially on the road. But it just also depends on who's pitching. But as far as that, there's nothing much to add.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't got anything on this at all, Scott.
So I guess it really comes down to how much Texas is going to be laying, because they're obviously going to be laying something for the sake of this game. Scherzer pitched on Friday on the 28th, so I'm doing the math in my head, and that would not have him in line to start this game. So Gray might actually start. I know Eovaldi just got moved to the IL, so the Rangers might be having to move around their rotation a little bit.
Yep.
I'm trying to think who's going to start for this team. Is Jordan
Maybe
Montgomery potentially?
Maybe they'll go Scherzer Wednesday. I'm not sure. Maybe Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out who might end up getting started here, because, as you said, Gray might get pulled. When did Montgomery last pitch?
Recently, I think. Let me look and see.
28th as well. So once again, both of them are not in line to start this game. So I'm assuming for now it's going to be Gray. I thought maybe it was pulled because of one of the new acquisitions. Maybe they'd be starting instead, but no. So for this one, you have John Gray probably laying north of $2 against the White Sox, because the Rangers are at home, and we know the White Sox are a really bad team. The problem is Texas was really, really bad over the weekend. And in fact, they've been basically useless for the last couple of days, and yeah, they let the Astros just sneak right back into the division race after dominating the Astros about a week ago, and now Houston's won back. It's another one of those spots where I think Texas is going to win, but do I really want to lay north of $2 with a team that's not in great form? Not really. So I'm kind of on the fence here. I might look to White Sox team total over, assuming it's going to be a lower number, because the White Sox might be a pretty big dog here. But based on Texas's recent form, I really don't want to lay north of $2 with this team. And I'm a little bit skeptical on the run line as well for a team that's been this underwhelming lately. The White Sox aren't a great team, but offensively, they've been better lately. Anderson's woken up. They have some pieces. So I think I'm going to go with the White Sox team total over in this game, probably at a low number, because I really don't want to back Texas. I get the argument they're going to be a big favorite because, once again, they're a much better team. But I hate how Texas has played lately, and it's going to scare me off. So my main play is going to be White Sox team total over.
Yeah, Texas getting swept by the Padres at the weekend was a real disappointment.
Close.
No, they made a little fight back yesterday and got back into it, but not for very long. Yeah, it was just a proper anticlimax, like you say, after what they'd done. It's the Astros. 8:10 Eastern first pitch. The New York Mets at the Kansas City Royals. Jose Quintana, left-handed pitcher for New York, and Zach Greinke will pitch for KC. Minus 148 on the Mets, plus 130 on the Royals. Total is 9.5, Lonte.
Yeah, man, that's pretty simple for me, man. I like the Mets here. Greinke, 4+ earned runs in 4 of his last 6, 5 home runs allowed in 2 of his last 3, 7+ hits in 4 of his last 6. Also, I mean, the Mets, I think they're a little too short here. Kansas City sweeping the Twins may have caused that to be a little bit inflated. They're still 18-36 at home, losers of 6 of their last 10. Mets offense looked better against Washington, 5+ earned runs in 3 of the last 4 in that series. KC is 224, hitting 224 versus lefties in their last 10. Mets 254 versus righties in their last 10. And I think Quintana, he's winless, but he's looked fine. I think he's looked good in his first 2 starts. He's went 11 innings, only allowed 4 earned runs combined, no home runs, so he's keeping the ball in the park. I think he can have some of the success against a below average offense here. So give me the Mets. I think that's a little bit too short here.
Scott, interested in the Mets?
I'm never interested in the Mets. For the sake of this game, I think I'm going to lean to the over in this one. Quintana's overall numbers are fine, but if you've watched him pitch against the Yankees and the White Sox, he really didn't look great, and he's kind of struggled early in games. I know he walked 3 Yankees last time out, but I think when you're looking at this actual game itself, Greinke's got good numbers against the Mets, but that doesn't really mean anything because Greinke's well past his prime, and he's arguably washed at this point. But Kansas City offensively has kind of woken up a little bit, and once again, I'm not sold on Greinke. I'm going to lean to the over. You have 2 pitchers that I'm not totally thrilled with here, and both bullpens, which I'm especially not thrilled with. I'm going to lean to the over. I think that one of these teams can break out, potentially scoring 7 or 8, but I do think that each team will have chances to score a decent amount in this game. I'm going with the over.
Okay, well, I'm going to make sure that between us we've tipped all the possible outcomes in this game because I like the first 5 under here. Quintana has been okay, but he's getting the Royals, which should help because they can't hit. The Royals are on their longest winning streak of the season, having rattled up 3 consecutive wins. That's 3 consecutive wins. Zach Greinke, as much as he gets a lot of stick, he doesn't pitch badly at home still. He's okay at home. And the Mets still can't hit. I just don't trust him. Yeah, I'll take a first 5 under. The Mets might get it done. I'm certainly not laying minus 148 with the Mets. Can't really do anything else, but I think both pitchers can go okay, at least for a little while, to cash us the first 5 under. 8:10 Eastern. First pitch is the Cleveland Guardians at the Houston Astros. Gavin Williams starts for the Guardians, and left-handed pitcher Framber Valdez goes for Houston. Minus 192 Houston at home. Plus 176 on Cleveland. Total is 8.5. Gavin Williams is 1-2 on the year, 3.35 ERA. It's been excellent lately, but in short starts, short appearances, 2 for winning starts. He just throws tons of pitches. He throws so many pitches. You might think that, like you see, 2 for winning starts and wonder what's going on. And I've watched them both, and he's up at around 85 pitches by the time they pull him. Because he's just walking loads of batters. It's full count. It's 10 pitch at bats. He just gets up there. He gets up there quick. But the results have been fine. Framber Valdez has had too many bad starts in a row now, really, I think, for it to be anything other than a fluke. Valdez has been going in sort of low-scoring games. I've got Cleveland first 5 here. Because I like Williams. I think he can hold it together. Houston is still wobbly, and Valdez has been very wobbly. I think Cleveland can get the noses in front, so I'll take Cleveland first 5, Scott.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to go with the Guardians first 5 team total over in this game.
Okay,
I'm a little bit concerned about Williams against Houston on the road, which is not exactly a great spot for any pitcher to be in. He has been pretty good lately, but you're looking at Valdez, and you mentioned it. He's been really bad lately. He's allowed at least 4 earned in 3 straight starts. If you want to even date back further than that, he's allowed at least 4 earned in 4 of his last 5 starts. The point is, I do think based on where this number is located at 8.5, once again, the Guardians are plus 160. You're probably looking at a first 5 team total of 1.5 for the Guardians. I'll take the over there. I just think that number's too low based on Valdez's current form and the fact that Houston's ballpark, of course, is a hitters-friendly ballpark. I'm going to go with Cleveland first 5, team total over. It's really tough for me to find value with Houston because I don't want to lay the run line with Valdez's recent form, but I also acknowledge that Houston's a much better team than Cleveland. So for the sake of that, I'm just going to fade Valdez based on his recent form. Give me Cleveland first 5, team total over 1.5.
Yep, that's good. We can both win there, Scott, Lonte.
Yeah, so you're fading them in that aspect, and I'll fade them full game. I'm gonna lean to Cleveland here on the money line. They're hitting lefties pretty well, especially on the road. 247, 4 runs per 9 in that span. They're also hitting 261 versus lefties in their last 10. That first number was just on the road. And you mentioned Gavin Williams, 2 earned runs or less in his last 3 starts. Solid against solid offenses, but like you mentioned, he's given up a ton of pitches. Philly and Texas, he was 2 earned runs combined and 2 road starts. So he has some experience there. I mean, it's just really a numbers thing for me. I haven't liked what I've seen from Valdez, and I've been on him in his last few starts, and he's kind of let me down. So maybe it's just buyer's remorse. 15 earned runs in his last 3 starts, 4 home runs in a 3-game span. So, I mean, Cleveland's not the best offensively, but the way Valdez has been going, I think I'll lean to them to get it done on the road.
Okay. We go on to a 8:40 Eastern first pitch. The San Diego Padres at the Colorado Rockies. San Diego are TBD, unfortunately. Colorado will have Peter Lambert going, who I handicapped for the Monday night game until Austin Gomber showed up on the slate. So, yeah, both rotations slightly in a state of flux. Yeah, no lines the result, unfortunately. Scott, can you shed any light on this?
For me, I just think the Padres are going to win. I think a better question is does it really matter who's pitching for the Padres? I can't make a case for Colorado because in addition to being really bad, they traded everybody worth a damn on their offense. Like they don't have anybody left. And you're trying to think of who they might be able to rely on. I think Nolan Jones is a pretty good young player. Tovar is pretty good. And they got Diaz, who won the All-Star Game MVP. That's basically it. I mean, Bryant's been injured. They just traded away Grishik, who is not a great player, but he's a lefty. He's good against lefties. And they traded away Crone, which is the main trade piece there to the Angels. Point is, the Rockies have been in really bad form. They lost a series at home to Oakland, and they were underdogs in some of those games, by the way. So that's a really embarrassing series loss there against Oakland. But you're looking at the Padres had a good weekend, beat Texas, and they're hoping once again that maybe the team's starting to wake up a little bit. I'm not going to fully overreact to a 3-game series, but the Padres have looked better lately. Given the Padres' run line in this game, the Rockies, they can't pitch, and now they can't hit because they have nobody left. McMahon's a good point by Insano. I've never been a big McMahon guy, but cool. Technically, yes, he's still a solid player. What were you going to say, Lonte?
Oh, I was just saying, like, McMahon's cool. He's not like horrible. He's not good. He's like right in between. He's
one of those guys
that decent baseball player. Like he's just 500 baseball player. Like,
yeah, but I forgot to mention McMahon's a good point. But the point is, the Rockies really just don't have any serious threats as far as I'm concerned, and the Padres do. Given the Padres' run line, I think they're going to be winning the series pretty comfortably. The Rockies, in addition to trading away a couple of key pieces, they're also sending a message to the rest of the team, which is, I'm sure all of you are not going to be here for much longer. So I do wonder how focused they're going to be in the last couple of months there. Give me the Padres. I just think the Rockies are going to trade away even more guys in the span of the next 12 hours or whatever.
The only problem I've got with the Padres is just it's another false dawn. How many more times this season are we going to say, oh, the Padres have put it together for 2 or 3 days, and then you come back on the show 3 or 4 days later, and they haven't won a game since again. And that's what this weekend smells like. I'll tell you who's going to be motivated for Colorado. Peter Lambert. That's who, Scott. First 5 under here. Peter Lambert's been all right. And he can keep not entirely in check, but this number's going to be far too high. I think there will be an overreaction to what the Padres did. And the Rockies won't contribute any runs to this, as you rightly pointed out. So we might get a first half under of maybe 5.5 or something nuts like that. And Lambert's gone okay, a couple of good starts. I think he can go well, so I'll take the first 5 under, even though the Padres will more than likely win, as Scott says. Lonte?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm probably going to be on the Padres team total. I don't know if I can trust them. I know they've been going well. They were really impressive versus Texas. Outscored them 16-4 in that series. They did win 2 of 3 in the June series against Colorado. So I think familiarity is there with them. I like the team total over whatever it comes out at. I'm pretty sure it's going to be bombs away for the San Diego offense. And I know Lambert's been okay, but again, current form, I think San Diego's bats can get going here.
9:40 Eastern first pitch. The Boston Red Sox go to the Seattle Mariners. TBD on Boston. I think it's Brian Bello. Brian Bello again, someone I handicapped last night. And then Nick Pivetta turned up on the slate. And Bryce Miller gets the start for Seattle. We have no lines on this one either because of that pitching decision to be made by Boston. So, Lonte, Boston at Seattle?
Yeah, I was hoping it is going to be Bello. I had Bello and Miller also, but if it's not, then I probably want to stay away because Miller's been pretty good. He was roughed up in his last start, but outside of that, he's been solid overall. He hasn't went over 5 in his last 5 starts, so that's kind of concerning, especially against a good Boston team. If they can get to them early, then they're gonna have to go to that bullpen. And Seattle's bullpen isn't overly effective, in my opinion. So depending on the pitcher, I'll go with Boston and the number, of course. But as of right now, it's kind of hard to pick and choose with no number and no for sure pitchers.
I don't know why it wouldn't be Bello, because like I say, he was slated and then he's been pushed back a day for Pavetta. I don't know why he'd be pushed back another day unless he's feeling something, which I haven't seen a report on. But I like Bello a lot. Obviously, we know this. Miller has been good at home. And then I watched a bit of both of these teams last night, and the Red Sox went down 4-3. The Mariners beat the D-backs 4-0. And they're both reasonable comp games, sort of both just low scoring. And I think this will be an under again. I think we'll see a total here, probably getting up to 8.5. And I'd be happy to take the under on both of on this game with two decent pitchers going who I like, Scott.
Yeah, for me, I think I'm going to lean to Seattle here. It's a tough call, but I do think when you're looking at the current form of Boston, baseball's a series of streaks, and it seems like Boston went on its hot run and then had a pretty disappointing series of loss against the Giants over the weekend. A couple of heartbreaking losses there. But I just think that the Red Sox are going to fall back into mediocrity, which is what I think this team kind of is. They're fine. They're basically a bottom-end AL East team, and they were on a very good run for about a week and change. It does seem like maybe they're flipping back to a bit of a slump potentially for the next week or so. But Seattle's been playing quietly some decent baseball lately. They're at home, which helps. Bello, once again, assuming he ends up starting. Of course, I like Bello as a pitcher, but recently his actual pitching schedule has been a bit messed up because he ended up having a child, I believe, right?
Yes.
And that caused him to go on paternity leave. So
Yep.
I do think, once again, looking at Bello's last couple of starts, just to pull up the numbers here, sorry. 6 innings, 3 runs, 4 innings, 6 runs. So 6 innings, 3 runs. So he's been fine, I guess. I mean, you're looking at probably giving up 3 runs, probably going about 5-6 innings. And I do think that Miller's been in pretty good form lately. I'll lean to Seattle. It's mostly just expecting the Red Sox to kind of regress a little bit after a very solid month stretch, give or take.
The penultimate game on the show is the 9:45 Eastern first pitch between the Arizona Diamondbacks and the San Francisco Giants. Zach Gallen goes for Arizona, and for the Giants, it will be Alex Cobb. That's new. It was Alex Wood a little while ago. The lines, -120 on the D-backs, even money, +100 for the Giants, and a low total of 7. Zach Gallen, 11-5, 3.36 ERA. He let us down last time. We talked him up. He gave up 5 earned against St. Louis. And he's 2-4 with a 4.90 ERA on the road. Alex Cobb is 6-3 on the year, 2.97 ERA. He's got a 1.09 home ERA. We're talking about a low-scoring game in a park where Cobb goes really well against a team who are really struggling, even money. I only saw this line in running as we were recording this, and I nearly fell off my chair. I'm all in. This I'll be taking this undoubtedly. The Giants are even money in this one, Scott.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that the wrong team's favored in this spot. I get that Gallen has been a Cy Young favorite for a while, but he's overall been underwhelming on the road. He's got a 3.36 ERA in general, a 4.97 ERA on the road, and that's in 63 1/3 innings, so a decent sample size there. Did pitch well against the Giants earlier this season, went 7 2/3, gave up 2 runs. But recently, he's been okay, just not his usual Zach Gallen self, because since the All-Star game, 6 1/3, 5 runs against the Cardinals, 7 innings, 3 runs against the Braves, and 5 innings, 3 runs against the Blue Jays. So he has given up some runs recently, and I'm not sure how many runs the Giants need with Cobb being this good at home all season long. So I'm going to go with the Cubs. I'm going to go with Cobb and the Giants on the money line here at around even money. Cobb at home this season has been hilariously good. A 1.09 ERA at home in 49 2/3. And since the All-Star break, he has been solid in 2 of his last 3 starts. Did struggle against the Reds, but went 6 innings scoreless against the Athletics last time out. To go through the actual record that Cobb has in the last couple of months, or I should say the Giants record with him. Sorry, doing it in my head. 3-1, 7-1, 7-2, 11-2. They're 11-2 in his last 13 starts. I'll take the Giants.
Okay, double bubble then for the Giants, Lonte, 3 out of 3.
Yeah, I'm going to take him too. I agree with
Yes.
Scott. Like, wrong team favorite. I think Gallen, obviously he's awesome, but we know his home road splits are what they are, and he's been giving up the long ball. 5 home runs allowed in his last 3 starts. I think San Francisco is going to hit the ball way better at home. I mean, I don't think a team should be favored. I know Gallen's good, but they've lost 8 of their last 10. I mean, you gotta put some kind of restraint on it. So, I mean, plain and simple here, I just think the wrong team's favorite. I think they end up going off the favorite once people get more into tomorrow's card. So I like San Francisco at home. I will go ahead and bet them now before they turn into the favorite.
The last game on the card here is a right old mess. I would not want to be a bookie attempting to price this up. You've got the Oakland Athletics at the LA Dodgers. It is a Cowboy time 10-10 first pitch. Ken Waldichuk for Oakland and Lance Lynn for the LA Dodgers. Waldichuk is officially TBD as well. Lynn's been slated all day for the Dodgers. I mean, I wouldn't have a clue where to start here. Scott, you're a better man than me. What on earth would you do with this if you were a bookie and then as a gambler?
Well, it really comes down to how big of a favorite the Dodgers are, because I'm not going to take Waldichuk. I think that he's once again a work in progress, which is a generous way of saying he's young and has some talent, but he hasn't pieced it together yet. Lynn has been, once again, not great this season, but there's been worse pitchers out there. I think he's fine for the sake of this matchup. Oakland had a good series offensively against Colorado, but facing off in Coors Field always helps the offense out. Then again, they did get shut out on Sunday, so I guess they didn't exactly put their best foot forward at the end of that series. I'm going to go with the Dodgers in the run line here. They lost the series at home to the Reds. They don't lose many series at home, so I do think that the Dodgers should be pretty motivated to take out the trash, so to speak, over the next couple days after losing a series against the Reds at home. I'm going to go with the Dodgers. Probably, I'm trying to think of how big of a favorite, though, because I'd say 1.5, but I don't know how big of a favorite they're going to be. Like, 1.5 is probably going to be a minus price. I think they win this game very comfortably. I'll put it that way. I just think that you're looking at Waldichuk, who doesn't go much distance. He walks a lot of guys, and the Dodgers do have a lot of firepower in that offense. Oakland's been hitting okay lately, but once again, facing off in altitude helps with that. I just think the Dodgers kill them in the series because, once again, they're going to be pretty motivated after losing a series to the Reds. I'll back Lance Lynn in this spot. I'll go with the Dodgers run line or minus 2.5, and they'll win by 3+ runs.
Okay, Lonte.
Yeah, so I mean, he might have switched uniforms, but Lance Lynn, he's still been getting smoked over the last 2 months. 23 earned runs in his last 5 starts, 6 home runs combined in 2 of his last 3, 4+ earned runs in 7 of his last 10. So I'm not going to take Oakland. That's for sure. I'm going to take them in the first 5. Mal, we love the Oakland first 5, man.
I brainwashed him. We got him.
So I'm gonna get on the Oakland first 5 bandwagon. Hopefully they can keep it 0-0, maybe even slide in a run, be up 1-0. I mean, I even take a tie because we win there. So I'm gonna look at the over also. I think Scott hit it on the head. I think that the Dodgers, especially at home, are going to look to put up some runs here. So I would look at the over, a full game over, and also be on the Oakland first 5.
I'm not sure if it matters, but I'm going to throw it out there. Lynn has faced off against Oakland's active lineup 71 times in terms of play appearances. 183 batting average and 183 on base percentage. So Oakland has never touched him well. Then again, Lynn's been really bad this year. So just read into it however you want. But historically speaking, Lynn has done pretty well against this team.
Yeah.
I was like a proud parent there, Lonte. Listening to you give that pick out, I was filling up, got a little tear in my eye. Yeah, this is horrible. Waldichuk's very scary. But you can't bet on Lance Lynn, or I can't anyway. So I think the cop-out pick is to take the over because you've got 2 ways of getting there, which is the Dodgers get all the way there by themselves, or Oakland can help out and Lance Lynn can give up a few as well. So that would be my pick, but it's going to be low down on my list of games to bet on tomorrow. And that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, got us to the end of the handicapping. So we will hit some lock and dogs. Lonte will let you lead us off.
All right, cool. So for the lock, I'm gonna go with. Let me see. I'm trying to get an updated number. on this. Let me make sure it's updated. Oh, okay. I'm gonna go with Baltimore plus 107 against Toronto. I got Bradish on the mound. I'm not sure how Ryu is going to be coming back. He should be a little bit rusty. I think Baltimore, they hit lefties really, really well, especially on the road. So I think they come out and get a big win against a rusty pitcher who has to kind of find his way through. I know Toronto's been playing well, but Baltimore is in a different groove as of late over the past month. So I like Baltimore as my lock at plus money. So I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
As for my dog, I'm gonna lay the 1.5 with the Mets. Surprisingly, that's at plus 105, 106. If you shop around, probably gonna get a little bit better. But I think the Mets are slated for a big offensive outing here. I mean, Kitana, he's been fine. I mentioned the numbers with Greinke. I just think that they're going to be able to get to him, and if they can't win this game by multiple runs, then they should be relegated to maybe like AAA or AA, whichever the lowest amount of baseball is. So give me the 1.5 for the Mets plus 106.
Okay, got a rare sighting of a Mets run line there over the last 3 weeks for Lonte. Scott, what do you have?
All right, so for my lock on this one, I am going to go to something that the line doesn't exactly exist right now, but I can speculate what it's probably going to be. It's a game that I talked about before. It's going to be the Guardians' first 5, team total over, probably at 1.5 against Valdez. Valdez has been in really bad form lately, so I don't exactly trust him to pitch well. And Cleveland's actually been very good against Valdez in their matchups previously. Cleveland's entire team has success. I believe that the entire team is combined about 320 in batting average against Valdez in his career. So the point is, Cleveland, we know, doesn't exactly strike out that much to make a lot of contact, and Valdez has given up some hard contact lately. But I think when you're looking at, once again, this line, it does seem like it's priced solely based on Valdez's season-long reputation instead of being focused on his recent form. So give me the Guardians' first 5, team total over 1.5. I just think that line's way too low in a hitter's friendly ballpark with a pitcher that's been in this bad form. So that's going to be my lock. And for my dog, I'm going to go with the Orioles money line against the Blue Jays. Simply put, I think Bradish is fine, but it's mostly just looking at Ryu, who has been good in the minors, but once again, he has not pitched in the majors this year, and now suddenly he's laying 130, which I don't really agree with. I don't think that's a fair price at all. I think that line's kind of insane, to be honest. I think Baltimore's the much better team. They're probably going to win the division, but you're looking at Ryu, once again, not pitching for basically a year plus. I want nothing to do with the Blue Jays in this game. So I'll take the Orioles money line. Just think, once again, fading a guy who has not pitched in such a long period of time is usually a good approach, because you never know what you're going to expect from this pitcher, and Baltimore has the firepower to definitely torch him if he's going to be underwhelming. So for that reason, give me the Orioles money line as my dog.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Scott. Captain Insane. Breaking some trade news in the chat. Mark Canhar, or Mark Can't Hit, as Dylan coined him last night, has gone to the Brewers. The Brewers who can't hit, pick up a bat that can't hit. Very on brand. Justin Jarvis goes to the Mets, who's the number 30 prospect. My lock is Minnesota and St. Louis is definitely going to finish 4-3, as I said. I'm not sure who to, but it's definitely under 8.5. So that's my lock in that one. And I wish I'd gone first now, because my dog's Baltimore. So I wanted to put it out before both of you did, but I refused to change my mind. So we're going for a triple. Well, it's not a triple dog, because Lonte locked it up at plus money. But it's the triple pick of Baltimore at plus 110, which will almost certainly jinx them. So fill your boots on Toronto. And that is that. Lonte, anything you need to tell us about before we go?
Nah, I'm back tomorrow. Hopefully it's a profitable day, and we get on the right side of some of these games that are going on tomorrow. So looking forward to the card tonight and tomorrow.
Scott?
Not real much more to add. I will give the Mets props, though, because you see a lot of teams that struggle to actually win anything. Maybe I'm talking about my team, maybe I'm not. And they keep trying to endlessly push for something that doesn't exist. At least the Mets realize this team isn't meant to be, and they're blowing it up. I'll give them props for that, because there's some type of, I'd say, awareness that a lot of teams lack, where you just realize this team doesn't have it, We might as well try to start over. I'll give the Mets props for it. At least they realize their team's not very good. I can't say the same about a lot of other teams, and I think a lot of other teams would have kept it going in this case. Maybe San Diego, for example. But props to the Mets for actually realizing that they should blow the entire team up.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty wild, I reckon, watching how the Mets rebuild, even though it's not officially a rebuild. Yeah, according to Epler. Yeah. Thanks, everyone who joined us in the chat. It was live and kicking as per usual. Good luck with all your bets. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm off to eat a lizard, and we'll see you down the road. Cheers.